p.m.
Fine.
So we'll have some time.
Yeah.
Our flight is at 8 p.m. on Thursday. So we're very lucky. We get this quiet time, but we will also get the utsav as well, right? The prasang. So, yeah. But tomorrow I'm looking forward to just taking in the vibrations of the place. Because like you said, we didn't get this where I live and work. Noise. Inside there's noise, outside there's noise. Right? But here, outside there's not noise. And the inside noise is slowly becoming quiet. But that takes time. Today's program is now finished.
8:30 again.
8:30
the last.
Yeah, wonderful.
Sometimes maybe more people and we can fit, but now I think the probably one probably busy and one probably busy with doing the boot and everything, so we just the music there.
When does the last boat come?
Anytime if the people are coming, anytime they can.
Anybody else is staying here tonight?
We have some devotee here, we staff here, they live, but the visitor only.
Sarah Mom has brought a monthly.
Oh yeah, okay. So how but tomorrow are you on the offer? So we have to ask the.
Oh, okay.
You can talk with him. He's the one.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Which side? No, on the bottom. Babaji, sit down.
Oh, okay.
You read.
We'll read the book.
Sit down.
Yes.
Babaji, come down.
Okay.
Every evening we read from Chaitanya Charitamrita for half an hour or so. We read to Prabhupada, and it's going out live, some live. So we're reading the Majja-lila, the process of devotional service. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. My dear Sanatan, please now hear about the regular principles for the execution of devotional service. By this process, one can attain the highest perfection of love of Godhead, which is the most desirable treasure. When transcendental devotional service, by which love for Krishna is attained, is executed by the senses, it is called sadhana bhakti, or the regulative discharge of devotional service. Such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. The awakening of this eternal devotion is the potentiality of devotional service in practice. Purport. This verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrita the Sindhu. Because living entities are minute, atomic particles and parts and parcels of the Lord, devotional service is already present within them, but in a dormant condition. Devotional service begins with Shravana, Kirtana, hearing and chanting. When a man is sleeping, he can be awakened by sound vibration. Therefore, every conditioned soul should be given the chance to hear the Hare Krishna mantra chanted by a pure Vaishnava. One who hears the Hare Krishna mantra thus vibrated is awakened to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In this way, one's mind gradually becomes purified. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Darpana Marjana. When the mind is purified, the senses are also purified. Instead of using the senses for sense gratification, the awakened devotee employs the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the process by which dormant love for Krishna is awakened. The spiritual activities of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth are the natural characteristics of devotional service. The marginal characteristic is that it awakens pure love for Krishna. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. There are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulative devotional service, and the other is spontaneous devotional service. Those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attachment in devotional service render devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, according to the regulative principles mentioned in the revealed scriptures. According to the revealed scriptures, this kind of devotional service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. Purport. In the beginning, one has to hear from a bona fide spiritual master. This is favorable for advancing in devotional service. According to this process, one hears, chants, remembers, and engages in deity worship, acting under the directions of the spiritual master. These are the essential primary activities of devotional service. Devotional service must not be executed for some material purpose. One should not even have a desire to merge into the absolute truth. One has to render such service out of love only, ahaitaki apratiyata. Devotional service must be without ulterior motives. Then material conditions cannot check it. Gradually, one can rise to the platform of spontaneous loving service. A child is sent to school by force to receive an education. But when he gets a little taste of education at an advanced age, he automatically participates and becomes a learned scholar. One cannot force a person to become a scholar, but sometimes force is used in the beginning. A child is forced to go to school and read and write according to the instructions of his teachers. Such is the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and spontaneous Bhakti. Dormant love for Krishna exists in everyone's heart, and it simply has to be awakened by the regular process of devotional service. One has to learn to use a typewriter by following the regulative principles of the typing book. One has to place his fingers on the keys in such a way and practice. But when one becomes adept, he can type swiftly and correctly without even looking at the keys. Similarly, one has to follow the rules and regulations of devotional service as they are set down by the spiritual master. Then one can come to the point of spontaneous loving service. This love is already there within the heart of everyone. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. Spontaneous service is not artificial. One simply has to come to that platform by rendering devotional service according to the regulative principles. Thus, one has to practice hearing and chanting and following the other regulative principles by washing the temple, cleansing oneself, rising early in the morning, attending Mangalarti, and so on. If one does not come to the platform of spontaneous service in the beginning, he must adopt regulative service according to the instructions of the spiritual master. This regulative service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. O descendant of Bharat, O Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, who is the Supreme Controller, and who always removes the miseries of the living entities, must always be heard about from reliable sources, and he must be glorified and remembered by one who wishes to become fearless. Purport. This quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam's second canto, it is one's duty to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the hearing process. This is called Shrotavya. If one has heard properly about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his duty is to glorify the Lord and preach his glories. This is called Kiti Avya. When one hears about the Lord and glorifies him, it is natural to think of him. This is called Smartavya. All this must be carried out if one actually wants to be immune from fear. From the mouth of Brahma, the Brahminical order has come into existence. Similarly, from his arms, the Kshatriyas have come. From his waist, the Vaishyas have come. And from his legs, the Sudras have come. These four orders and their spiritual counterparts, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, combine to make the human society complete. This is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto. If one simply maintains an official position in the four varnas and ashrams, but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Kshatras should be the servants of these two principles. Purport. This verse is a quotation from the Padma Purana. There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle. That is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 24 hours daily. One may have other duties to perform under the direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. This chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order is to chant at least 16 rounds is his most essential. One may sell books or enlist life members or render some other service, but these duties are not ordinary duties. These duties serve as an impetus for remembering Krishna. When one goes with a Sankirtan party or sells books, he naturally remembers that he is going to sell Krishna's books. In this way, he is remembering Krishna. When one goes to enlist a life member, he talks about Krishna and thereby remembers him. Smartavya satatam vishnur vishmantavyo rajatuchit. The conclusion is that one must act in such a way that he will always remember Krishna, and one must refrain from doing things that make him forget Krishna. These two principles form the basic background of Krishna consciousness. I shall say something about the various practices of devotional service, which is expanded in so many ways. I wish to speak briefly of the essential practices. On the path of regulative devotional service, one must observe the following items. 1. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. 2. One must accept initiation from him. 3. One must serve him. 4. One must receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotional service. 5. One must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. The next steps are as follows. 6. One should be prepared to give up everything for Krishna's satisfaction, and one should also accept everything for Krishna's satisfaction. 7. One must live in a place where Krishna is present, a city like Vrindavan or Mathura, or a Krishna temple. One should acquire a livelihood that is just sufficient to keep body and soul together. 9. One must fast on the Ekadashi day. 10. One should worship datri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmins, and devotees of Lord Vishnu. 11. One should avoid offences against devotional service and the holy name. Purport. There are 10 items in the beginning of devotional service, up to the point of worshipping the datri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmanas, and devotees of Lord Vishnu. The 11th item is to avoid offences when rendering devotional service and chanting the holy name. The 12th item is to give up the company of non-devotees. 13. One should not accept an unlimited number of disciples. 14. One should not partially study many scriptures just to be able to give references and expand explanations. Purport. Accepting an unlimited number of devotees or disciples is very risky for one who is not a preacher. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, a preacher has to accept many disciples to expand the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is risky because when the spiritual master accepts a disciple, he naturally accepts the disciple's sinful activities and their reactions. Unless he is very powerful, he cannot assimilate all the sinful reactions of his disciples and has to suffer the consequences. Therefore, one is generally forbidden to accept many disciples. One should not partially study a book just to pose oneself as a great scholar by being able to refer to scriptures. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have therefore limited our study of the Vedic literatures to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. These 4 works are sufficient for preaching purposes. They are adequate for the understanding of the philosophy and the spreading of missionary activities all over the world. If one studies a particular book, he must do so thoroughly. That is the principle. By thoroughly studying a limited number of books, one can understand the philosophy. 15. A devotee should treat loss and gain equally. 16. The devotee should not be overwhelmed by lamentation. 17. The devotee should not worship demigods, nor should he disrespect them. Similarly, the devotee should not study or criticize other scriptures. 18. The devotee should not hear Lord Vishnu or his devotees blasphemed. 19. The devotee should avoid reading or hearing newspapers or mundane books that contain stories of love affairs between men and women or subjects palatable to the senses. 20. Neither by mind nor words should the devotee cause anxiety to any living entity, regardless of how insignificant he may be. Purport. The first 10 items are do's, and the second 10 items are don'ts. Thus, the first 10 items give direct action, and the second 10 items give indirect action. After one is established in devotional service, the positive actions are hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, praying, serving, accepting servitorship, becoming a friend, and surrendering fully. One should also 10 dance before the deity, 11 sing before the deity, 12 open one's mind to the deity, 13 offer obeisances to the deity, 14 stand up before the deity and the spiritual master just to show them respect, 15 follow the deity or the spiritual master, and 16 visit different places of pilgrimage or go see the deity in the temple. One should 17 circumambulate the temple, 18 recite various prayers, 19 chant softly, 20 chant congregationally, 21 smell the incense and flower garlands offered to the deity, and 22 eat the remnant of food offered to the deity. One should 23 attend arti and festivals, 24 see the deity, 25 present what is very dear to oneself to the deity, 26 meditate on the deity, and 27 to 30 serve those related to the Lord. Tadiya means the Tulsi leaves, the devotees of Krishna, the birthplace of Krishna Mathura, and the Vedic literature Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is very eager to see his devotees serve Tulsi, Vaishnavas, Mathura, and Bhagavatam. Purport. After item 26, meditation, the 27th is to serve Tulsi, the 28th is to serve the Vaishnavas, the 29th is to live in Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, and the 30th is to read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. 31. One should perform all endeavors for Krishna. 32. One should look forward to his mercy. 33. One should partake of various ceremonies with devotees. Ceremonies like Lord Krishna's birthday or Lord Ramachandra's birthday. 34. One should surrender to Krishna in all respects. 35. One should observe particular vows like Kartik Vrat. These are some of the 64 important items of devotional service. One should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these 5 awakens love for Krishna. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that there are 35 items up to the point of observing special vows in the month of Kartik. To these 35 items, another 4 are added, namely marking tilak on different parts of the body, writing the names of the Lord all over the body, accepting the deity's garland, and accepting Charitamrita. These 4 items are understood to be included by Kaviraj Goswami within Archana, worship of the deity. Although these items are not mentioned here, they are to be added to the previous 35 items. Thus, the total number becomes 39. To these 39 should be added 5 others: association with devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, residing in Mathura, the birthplace of Krishna, and worshipping the deity with great respect and veneration. The 39 items plus these 5 come to a total of 44. If we add the previous 20 items to these 44, the total number becomes 64. The 5 items mentioned above we previously mentioned items. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami states the glorification of these 5 items, association with devotees, chanting the holy name, and so on, is to make known the complete superiority of these 5 practices of devotional service. The 64 items of devotional service include all the activities of the body, mind, and senses. Thus, the 64 items engage one in devotional service in all respects. With love and full faith, one should worship the lotus feet of the deity. This verse and the following 2 verses are found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One should taste the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees. And one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than oneself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. Purport. The words Satadhi Yasyaye Snigde Sadhu Sangaha Swato Vare are very important. One should not associate with professional Bhagavatam reciters. A professional Bhagavatam reciter is one who is not in the disciple succession or one who has no taste for bhakti yoga. Simply on the strength of grammatical knowledge and word jugglery, professional reciters maintain their bodies and their desires for sense gratification by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. One should also avoid those who are averse to Lord Vishnu and his devotees, those who are Mayavadis, those who offend the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, those who simply dress as Vaishnavas or so-called Goswamis, and those who make a business by selling Vedic mantras and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to maintain their families. One should not try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam from such materialistic people. According to the Vedic injunctions, Yasha Devi Parabhakti, the Srimad Bhagavatam can be recited only by one who has unflinching faith in the lotus feet of Krishna and his devotee, the spiritual master. One should try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam from the spiritual master. The Vedic injunction states, Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grahyam Na Pujan Na Chakitaya. One has to understand Srimad Bhagavatam through the process of devotional service and by hearing the recitation of a pure devotee. These are the injunctions of the Vedic literature, Shruti and Smriti. Those who are not in the disciple succession and who are not pure devotees cannot understand the real mysterious objective of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. One should congregationally chant the holy name of the Lord and reside in Vrindavan. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung, one who understands the transcendental nature of Navadvip and its surrounding area, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enacted his pastimes, resides always in Vrindavan. Similarly, living in Jagannath Puri is as good as living in Vrindavan. The conclusion is that Navadvip Dham, Jagannath Puri Dham, and Vrindavan Dham are identical. However, if one goes to Mathura Mandal Bhumi for sense gratification or to make a livelihood, he commits an offense and is condemned. Whoever does so must be penalized in the next life by becoming a hog or a monkey in Vrindavan Dham. After taking on such a body, the offender is liberated in the next life. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur remarks that residing in Vrindavan with a view to enjoy sense gratification surely leads a so-called devotee to a lower species. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with them. Purport. This verse is also found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken in him. Purport. The 9 processes of devotional service are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atman, Nivedanam. There are many devotees who execute only one of the 9 processes of devotional service. Nonetheless, they get the ultimate success. Devotees like Maharaj Ambarish execute all 9 items and they also get ultimate success. Maharaj Parikshit attained the highest perfection, shelter at Lord Krishna's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Shukadeva Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity, and Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Rajangaji Hanuman attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramachandra, and Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This verse appears in the Panjavali and the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in describing the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his hands in cleansing and washing the Lord's temple, his ears in hearing topics about the Supreme Lord, his eyes in seeing the deity of Lord Krishna in the temple, his body in embracing Vaishnavas or touching their lotus feet, his nostrils in smelling the aroma of the tulsi leaves offered to Krishna's lotus feet, his tongue in tasting food offered to Krishna, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage like Vrindavan and Mathura, or to the Lord's temple, his head in touching the lotus feet of the Lord and offering him obeisances, and his desires in serving the Lord faithfully. In this way, Maharaj Ambarish engaged his senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he awakened his dormant loving propensity for the Lord's service. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto. So we'll finish there and we'll continue tomorrow from text 140. Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Yeah, Chaitanya Charitamrita is amazing. Just incredible.
What was the text you were reading from?
Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's actually spoken by Krishna himself in the form of a devotee who appeared about 500 years ago in Navadvip. That's very old. Lord Chaitanya, this is in here.
Yeah.
So this is,
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
yeah, and this is Lord Nityananda.
Yes.
So that, what I was reading is spoken by him, so he's instructing Sanatana Goswami. It's quite deep.
Very empowering.
Oh yeah, really, really deep stuff. So we read every evening, except Sunday. We have a lot of visitors on Sunday.
But it's a blessing to
It's just incredible. And in the previous chapter, which we just finished, Lord Chaitanya is describing the glories of Lord Krishna. It's like mind-blowing. And this is Krishna himself describing himself.
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya is
Yeah.
Krishna. Can't get a higher source than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Parvati. She is from Kenya also. She lived in Kenya a long time. Yeah,